Hey guys, and welcome to Pixel Cherry Ninja's channel. It's the weekend, which means only one thing: it's time for that weekly news roundup. As usual, we will begin with FPGA gaming news, the MiSTer, the Analogue Pocket, and any other FPGA gaming news out there that's worth reporting. After that, we will move over to some random and retro gaming news. Timestamps are available, so use those to navigate your way around the video, watch what you like and skip what you don't. You know, that's why they are there. Before we go further in, guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, then a subscription and a like is super duper appreciated. It really does help out the channel. And if you want to further support the channel, I do have a Patreon set up. Before we start the video, guys, let me just give a quick mention to my sponsor, MiSTer Add-ons, an absolutely awesome family run store where you can take care of all your MiSTer needs. You can even buy a MiSTer and get your dog to hump it if that's your kind of thing, chicken wing. And finally, don't forget to check out London's best arcade, Free Play City. Anyway, let's do this. Let's kickstart this week by having a look at one of my favorite cores on the MiSTer FPGA. Honestly, if you haven't tried it, I say it every week, you really need to try it. This is the Sega Saturn core. Now, SRG320 has put some updates out to it, and I've had some messages, a few messages over on my YouTube channel and Twitter of people saying they can't get it to work. And when I kind of speak to them, they say they're using the version that's available via Update All. If you want the best out of the Saturn core, you will need an unstable version of the MiSTer main, and you will need the latest unstable version of the core. I strongly recommend you do it. It's miles ahead of what is available via Update All. But SRG320 has put out some fixes to his latest version of the core, dual RAM, which apply to dual RAM and single SD RAM, because whenever he puts out a fix or an update, it applies to both versions of the core. But just something in the update notes here. So one really good thing here is add backup cartridge support. We'll have a look, check out the next story, because members of the community have utilized that. And then in the next part, it says add black transitions option. Now this part here, okay, what's the next one we've got? We've got VDP 2 fixes for interlaced mode. Now I've read 3 different updates up there, but what's really interesting here, and I'm going to read the Discord post here, this has actually benefited me. So I got a PVM recently, and it's a PAL PVM. So whenever I'm playing NTSC games, they're kind of squashed a little bit, and I haven't got the best kind of aspect ratio. I'm still using it, I like it, but this update here, right, has actually given me Saturn full screen on the PVM. So I've benefited from this. So if you're like me and you're using like a PAL analog display, this might benefit you more. There might be other benefits as well. So this is a fix that Keisha CS from over the MiSTer FPGA Discord has implemented to SRG320's Sega Saturn core, and I'm just going to read it here. So Keisha CS has released a new build of the Saturn core. He adds, it should fix interlacing on direct video and analog video in cases it was broken. And then it says, please test it out on NTSC plus PAL and report back in the Sega Saturn channel on the MiSTer FPGA Discord. I'm trying this, I'm trying it right now in fact, and I can see on my lovely PVM display, it is full screen. So that's awesome. Specific advice to anyone out there that's using an analog display and is getting a squashed image, mainly people in the UK that don't have something where you can't adjust like the screen size, like me anyway. But either way, Sega Saturn is awesome. I'm enjoying it. There's going to be a stream happening on Sunday where you can vote for what system you want to see. And right now the Sega Saturn is in the lead. So it's very likely I'll be doing a Sega Saturn stream Sunday morning at 10 AM UK time. Anyway, guys, let's move on. I can talk all day about the Sega Saturn because I love it. So in the previous segment, I said we'll be talking more about backup cartridge support. Now, bear in mind, the Sega Saturn is something I got very familiar with the MiSTer FPGA. Before that, I didn't really know the system, and that's why I always recommend to you guys, check out the Saturn. It's a great system. But how fans and the community have utilized that feature. So what you're seeing on the screen here, all credit to World of Long Plays. I've used the footage because I didn't have a chance to kind of run through this myself, but this is Dezaemon 2. So I'm going to give you a little bit of what is happening within the community. So Dezaemon is a series of game maker programs that appeared on various consoles, with Dezaemon 2 on the Sega Saturn being particularly popular due to decades of community support. Hundreds of user-made games exist for Dezaemon 2, but loading them on original hardware required modding or risky swap tricks, along with tools like Dezaemon 2 Save Game Mapper. Recently, the MiSTer FPGA Saturn core added backup cartridge support, and that's what we're talking about here, enabling these games to run without hardware risks. Setting them up involves importing saves via the Save Manager ROM and renaming ROM duplicates to match individual save files. As the core doesn't allow swapping virtual save carts, currently 31 user games are available, with more to come. Now I want to send a shout out to DMG, Heckhound, 60 FPS and obviously SRG 320 for putting out these core and the updates, and the community for using them. Now if you want to get access to this and you want more information, I'll leave a link to Mr. Addon's Discord. That's where I found out about it. In fact, members of the community there were kind enough to ping me. Always appreciate your pings. And I'll leave, so what I'll do is I'll leave an invite link to Mr. Addon's Discord, and then below that there'll be a direct link to exactly where this post is and where you can get some information. So if you're interested in, well, making your own shmups or playing user generated shmups on your Sega Saturn core on the MiSTer FPGA, then you definitely want to check this out. Honestly, look where we are with FPGA gaming. Amazing times. JT Fridays are awesome, but you know what's really good as well? A JT Saturday. So this is the Fairyland story, and by the time you're watching this video, you should be enjoying the beta. Now the footage that you're seeing here is the Fairyland story running on the MiSTer FPGA, but this is an earlier version of the game. This is an alpha code that I had access to a few days ago, so I decided to do a video of it. For the whole part, it plays really, really well. What is the Fairyland story? Well, it's a 1985 single screen platformer where you play a witch that fires your magic wand at people and turns them into cakes. It's a very, very fun game. It predates Bubble Bobble, but you can see Bubble Bobble took a lot of inspiration from this game. Someone in the video that I did earlier also mentioned that there's a reference to the Fairyland story in the New Zealand story, so that's really, really cool. But guys, this is a fun game. Don't let it fool you. It starts off easy like most games in this genre, and then it becomes difficult. It's going to be available for the MiSTer, the Analogue Pocket, and other supported FPGA platforms that Hotego supports. Access to this you will only get as a beta member, so you would need to be subscribed to Hotego's Patreon. I always recommend supporting Hotego over on Patreon because you directly get to fund FPGA core development and you get to test out betas before they are released to the public once they're steady enough. But hey guys, have an awesome weekend and play the Fairyland story. It's good. Every week I ask myself, what is Ken making? And honestly, at this point, I have to ask myself, what is Ken not making? So this is a handheld MiSTer FPGA. Guys, I watched this video earlier and I was blown away. So in this handheld MiSTer, Ken uses the QM-Tech version of the DE10 Nano, and the reason for that is because of the onboard 128 megabytes of SD RAM, so which saves you having to add it in there yourself. He talks about how he made it, the challenges that were faced, and guys, for the whole part, it's amazing. As you can see, charging via USB-C, but if you're playing it and the battery runs low and you plug in the charger, it kind of resets. But Ken talks about a lot of stuff in here. Honestly, this guy is amazing. So what he's doing now is he's making this open source so people can look at it, they can add stuff to it, they can improve it. But for the whole part, guys, this is amazing. I'll leave a link to Ken's channel in this video. Check it out for yourself. But yeah, man, this is an amazing handheld MiSTer. And if you're technically advanced enough, if you're a capable person that can tinker with stuff, then hey, you might even be able to make yourself a MiSTer FPGA handheld, currently working with the QM-Tech board. Let's do a quick dive into what's been happening in the world of Mr. Pi in the last week. So a tweet here from Taki Uron, Mr. Pi version 1.6 with BGA SDRAM arrived today, starting work on the batch-free NFC PCB cards. And let's have a look at those NFC PCB cards. So samples arrived tonight. Gold pixel art looks awesome, and yes, it does look nice. KOA is at Koa here asks, would the NFC PCBs be sold separately at some point? I had already jumped into the batch 2 order and would rather have these over the SNES snack that was provided. Takeudan replies, there are 4 unique ones for this batch including the sword. I will probably only make 1 available after the batch due to minimum order requirements. And just a thank you for the clarification. Next up we've got a question here from Dezaemon, where Dezaemon says, we will be able to install a second 128 megabyte of RAM with the version 1.6 board. And if you had that question, the answer to that is yes. Next up over here, Takeudan testing out the Jaguar core. So testing out the new Jaguar FPGA core on a MiSTer Pi 1.6 dual SD RAM build. It only requires single SD RAM module, so that's because one RAM module is built into the board, so you get another one and that makes it dual RAM. At least that's how I'm thinking it is, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. So Takeudan here says MiSTer Pi batch 3 pre-orders are sold out. As a reminder, there will be a small quantity of batch 2 boards available for PayPal payment, with remaining quantities also available for normal payment. This will happen either late this week or early next week. So those, or a few of you guys out there that have been waiting patiently for PayPal to become a payment option, well, your time may be coming soon. Keep an eye on Taki's socials. Moving over from the Takeudan MiSTer Pi to the Multisystem 2, and here we have a tweet from Blue Sky. Does that sound right? Do you tweet on Blue Sky, or let's just say a post from Blue Sky? So Multisystem here is saying the Multisystem 2 prototype boards are now assembled with components. A few quick snaps to show how nice they look. Note the full-sized SD card slot because no one really likes using micro SD. Starting the testing stage next to see what works. Stay tuned for more new product development updates. Let's have a look at these pictures. And guys, you know what? I, for the whole part, don't mind micro SD cards. I just hate taking them in and out. If I'm taking something in and out, then I definitely prefer the full-size SD card. So yeah, that's actually a good move thinking about it. And some posts here from X, or tweets here from X and Twitter. The Multisystem. The Multisystem 2 enclosure is starting to take shape. Still a work in progress, but what do you think? Do you like the design direction? And what vibes is the enclosure giving you? Okay, so what vibes is it giving you? Maybe you want to let Multisystem know. And here we go, just flicking through the pics. Definitely looks like a console. If you've got a nice setup in your front room, maybe this is something you want to consider when this is actually released. So Multisystem 2 here again. It's all running, starting to test all cores now, Game Boy and AL486. The memory test is happy to run SD RAM at 160 MHz, so that's a great indication of design stability. Also, first look at Multisystem 2 enclosure that Richard is designing, and having a look at the pictures that they've posted here. Here you go, we can see it down here, and some more pictures here, and I think a final one here. So guys, what do you actually think? Are you looking forward to this? I know when I covered this last week and maybe even the week before, a lot of you guys are very, very excited about this, and you are looking forward to this when it becomes available. It's things like this that really do make the MiSTer FPGA project such an awesome project, and it's always why I stand by my statement until something changes. But damn it man, MiSTer is king, and it's stuff like this that I just find absolutely awesome. So a user over on Reddit with the name SORHP, that's either supposed to be Sorg or maybe Streets of Rage hit points HP. Anyway, 1980s alarm clock case MiSTer FPGA build. They have taken a busted old alarm clock and they have built a MiSTer FPGA, or they have put a MiSTer FPGA inside it for their setup. For the whole part, yeah, you need imagination for this, and it's just awesome to see stuff like this. Now, the alarm clock on there, or the clock on there works. They managed to find an LCD on AliExpress. They kind of talk about it more in this post if you want to check it out. As usual, a link in the description. But having a look at it, you can, wow, they've got a nice arcade setup. And here you go, they've got an alarm clock with a MiSTer in there, and as you can see, they've opened it up there, the MiSTer's in there. It looks really, really good. So if you don't want to get yourself like a Multisystem 2, maybe you want to make yourself like a MiSTer alarm clock. But for the whole part, I love seeing stuff like this. And guys, if you make stuff like this, reach out to me. I love sharing stuff like this. I love sharing your work and showing it to the world, because it's stuff like this that makes a project I love so much awesome. Cast your mind back to last week, where Anime Otaku showed some awesome things he was working on. Among that was launching stuff on your MiSTer via like an Android tablet. For the whole part, it was really, really good. So just to kind of follow up on that, Anime Otaku here says, I've uploaded the first commit of the game launcher to GitHub. It's nowhere near ready for a release and scraping games is not possible at the moment. API got revoked, but it communicates with MiSTer. Hope people will join the project. So if you want to join the project and contribute, you can head over to Anime Otaku's GitHub. But this is something that's coming along, and I'm sure in the coming weeks it will mature even more. Ranny Snice, his wallpapers are legendary. You can go to update tool and switch on the Ranny Snice wallpaper option and it will get you lots and lots of nice wallpapers. I'm always excited by them. If you watch my live streams, every time I do a reboot, I'm happy because I get like a different wallpaper showing out of the ones I've got installed on my MiSTer. I really like them, man. And a tweet here from Ranny reads, if these are my last MiSTer FPGA wallpapers for 2024, then I should end the year swinging. These are dedicated to the FGC, the fighting game community. If you were around when Street Fighter II released on the SNES, then you know it was the greatest console game release ever. And we've got 2 4x3 and 1 16x9, and Ranny wishes all of us, including me and you, a happy holiday or happy holidays. And having a look at them, they just look awesome, man. When Street Fighter came out on the SNES, it was amazing. I mean, now I kind of prefer the Mega Drive version, but back in the day, SNES was king for them. And it's great having this wallpaper. It will look amazing on your MiSTer. So if you haven't already and you want to go through Ranny Snice's wallpapers, you can either go to Ranny Snice's GitHub and download them individually and add them, or easier, add the repository to, or add the option via update tool, switch it on, and it will just fetch all the wallpapers for you. And if you have a Steam Deck and you wanted to use Zaparoo on that, you know, maybe you saw it in the MiSTer and you thought, man, I really want this on my Steam Deck, Wizzo's got you covered. And here's Zaparoo fully working on the Steam Deck. We'll get a beta up on my Discord soon. If anyone has experience making Decky loader plugins, please let me know. I had a hard time with the docs for it. So if you're used to the Decky loader plugins, get in touch with Wizzo. But it's really nice to see this because I know some people that don't actually have a PC. The only PC they have is a Steam Deck, and they actually use it as like a kind of switch. They have it docked and they play a lot of indie games while it's connected to the display, and then they kind of take it on the go. So for someone like that, if that's their main setup, I can imagine this being a great option to just launch games. You've got it there, it's seamless. Whack it on there, Caves of Cood, Stardew Valley, whatever you want to play, tap, tap, go, and Zaparoo on the Steam Deck. Who remembers SuperSEGA? Do you guys remember that? An FPGA that's supposed to play Dreamcast and Sega Saturn and Mega Drive, etc, etc. And it's something that's been worked on by Alejandro and team. I'm sure you guys haven't forgotten it. Most of you guys out there, whether you're just members of the community, consumers, or whether you're developers, whatever your role is, you believe this project to be a scam. In fact, I don't think I've spoken to anyone that legitimately believes in this project. So what happened is Iain Lee, by the way, awesome guy, very good channel, and just very funny, very chilled, relaxed, and hyper viable at the same time, interviewed Alejandro on a live stream yesterday. I was present during the live stream in chat and I was kind of going through with it, and I have to say it's a very entertaining interview. You guys should definitely watch it. So the tweet here from Iain Lee reads, perhaps one of the weirdest and wildest interviews I have ever done. The brains behind the SuperSEGA system tries to convince me the project is real. What do you think? And honestly guys, watch it. I'll leave a link to this video here, which is a video of the interview. And a spoiler alert, maybe if you don't want a spoiler, cover your ears for the next 5 to 10 seconds. But honestly, I got 0% extra confidence that this project is something I would like to back. I would not give €3 on a prepaid card that I only topped up with €3. But it's a very entertaining video. Ian's channel is a fantastic channel. Check it out. He is a nerdy gamer just like the rest of us. So interesting. As you can see, Alejandro is very professional. He's got a beer during the interview. He smokes, and he also eats some potatoes and prawns during the stream. But hey, on the bright side, at least he's not doing this interview in just his underwear. You know what guys, I see this and I'm like excited, and I don't even know why I'm so excited. I've got like a MiSTer, I've got an Analogue Pocket, I've got multiple units of the same thing, but for some reason this just gets me going. And I'll likely pick stuff up. I'm spending too much money on buying gadgets for the channel, and honestly I'm not making enough money back. But hey, you know what? I do this because I love doing this, and hopefully at one point I can make a decent amount of money doing this. But you know, for now I'm just enjoying the ride, guys. So Sipeed here, FPGA Tang console 60K SMT back, smaller than a credit card yet packed with features: RPI, PCIe, 3.0 FPC, onboard debugger, HDMI output, 2x USB 3.0, which is a USB-A, right? 2x USB 2.0, which is USB-C, 2x PMOD, 2x 40-pin header, supports 40p SD RAM and GBA slot modules, and pairs perfectly with a 3.5-inch LCD and joystick. So guys, Sipeed, someone to keep an eye on. They're very, very original in what they do, at least from what I can see. They manufacture a lot of hardware, a lot of FPGA hardware, and just a lot of stuff. And they're very approachable. They're very good to speak to. I've spoken to them in the past. But again, this just looks really, really interesting. And I'm kind of interested about this. I know Nanta Mario's ported over a whole bunch of cores to it. They've got NES, they've got SNES, they've got Mega Drive, and most recently he's been working on GBA. And it'll be awesome to see this stuff come over on like a cheap FPGA. So if someone just wants NES, SNES, you're going to be good with something like this. It's just great to have options in. I'm excited, and honestly, I don't know why I'm so excited, but this story here in particular has very much excited me. In last week's video, some of you guys mentioned, I haven't mentioned the Chromatic for a while. I remember mentioning it in previous news videos and kind of talking about an FPGA Game Boy that is coming out. Now it is out, and there's a few people that I've spoken to over on various Discords that I am a member of, and no one said anything negative about it. Everyone has said it's a really good Game Boy. The screen's good, they've got it bang on right with the screen. The D-pad is fantastic. Now, this is something I'd like because, hey, I love Game Boys, but honestly, guys, I just can't justify the cost for this. So I'm kind of sitting this one out. However, I will cover it from the sidelines. But one of the main reasons that I am covering this, and thank you to my buddy that kind of linked me this. A few people linked me this, but thank you to the first one that did. You know who you are. And if we go over to the attributions section, guess what? It is using the MiSTer FPGA core. Yeah, baby, MiSTer is king. Absolutely awesome. And they've obviously given credit to MiSTer for that. And that's why we know the core on this is going to be good. It's not a core made from the ground up. Why make it from the ground up when you've got an open source one available that you can just use? So MiSTer inside the Chromatic, that's what they're using. So yeah, man, for the whole part, everything I've heard, it sounds good about this as far as playing it goes, as far as the feel and everything goes, and the fact that we know it is using the MiSTer core, we know it's going to be top notch. We had a look at a handheld MiSTer DIY project that Ken made. Well, let's not stop there. Now let's have a look at a handheld Saturn. So this is from TZMWX. I've featured them on the channel many times because they are a very, very talented individual. And it said Zaparoo inside. So this has their optical drive emulator running inside a handheld device running a Sega Saturn with an ODE. And for the whole part, guys, it just looks fantastic. But let's have a look at the next tweet here. This is really, really interesting. Let's press the translate button and get a translation. So what are we looking at here? Zaparoo's subsequent firmware updates will support the direct reading function, making the optical drive into an independent module that can be used for playing games, listening to CDs and testing. Although I won't use them to play games, it's nice to put them together as a decoration or listen to CDs. So if you want to use your ODE to play CDs and that's how you want to jam out a party, that is going to be an option for you very, very soon. Super Power Kick. How do I know about this game? I haven't played this game yet, but I do intend to play it. When I had a bit of gaming time yesterday, I could have played this, but I decided to play the new Virtua Fighter beta. By the way, that's really, really good, and I intend to buy that day one. So the developer, Kakoimon, hopefully I've said that correct, they reached out to me saying, hey, you like single screen platformers? Yes, I do. They said, check out my game, Super Power Kick. And guess what? It's available for free on itch.io. I do intend to check it out. But in the meantime, when they kind of reached out to me and they were recommending me a game, I wanted to feature it on the channel. Do let me know if you've tried it or whether you're going to try it or whether you think it's good or bad. It's definitely something I'm going to try. Single screen platformer, and you get to kick people, right? So Super Power Kick. What is there not to like about that? I'm thinking it's kind of like Snow Brothers, where you kick someone, maybe they roll themselves into a ball, and then you kick them further to get everyone else kind of dying. Either way, it's kind of like my jam, and this is something that I look forward to playing. And more goodies on itch.io. This is something I've had my eye on for some time, and this is a game called Faster. And I really like how they've used the Atari ST logo in Faster instead of an A. But anyway, enough of the cosmetics, enough of the brilliant logo. This just looks really, really good. So this is Faster, a brand new super fast and silky smooth 2.5D racing game built from the ground up for the Atari STE using modern tools, techniques and knowledge. So 50 frames per second, racing on the 8 MHz Atari STE, 15 plus large full color sprites on screen drawn by Bitterchip, 30 plus colors on screen from enhanced STE palette, full 24-hour daylight or day-night cycle, simultaneous digital engine noise, sound effects and YM soundtrack, screen shaking effects courtesy of STE hardware scrolling. There's more on there, but guys, this looks really, really good. It just reminds me that I actually need to set up an Atari ST core on my MiSTer at some point. I really wish there was like the way we have Amiga Vision, I wish there was something for the Atari ST. But for any Atari ST fans out there, I mean, just look at it. We're playing in a little window up there and it just looks absolutely superb. What a game, and it's nice to see games coming out for our favorite hardware. Something that I have featured on the channel multiple times is the BigPEmu. So recently I've been playing a little bit more Jaguar because of the MiSTer FPGA core that's been made available. It's very, very good. Now, I don't really have much nostalgia or much love for the Atari Jaguar because for the most part, the vast majority of the games on there, they're just really not that good. And there's nothing that stands out on there. You know, a good game might also be out for another system. However, I do appreciate it from a preservation standpoint, and it's always nice visiting like new systems, right? Because it's just fun, especially when we do the live streams and we kind of check everything together. So this is Richard Whitehouse, who works on the BigPEmu. His software emulator is excellent. I checked it out like a year or two back and I really, really liked it. I was like, wow, and that's the first time I would say I've properly experienced the Jaguar. It has some elements in there that make it better than original hardware. I think you can play like Alien vs Predator, 64-player co-op. That's just crazy. So the good news is the reason that I'm featuring it here. Recently, it was released on iOS. I think I covered that on the channel. But now you're now getting a Steam release of it. So if you want to maybe download this directly on your Steam Deck via Steam, you can run your Jaguar games that way. It's nice to see systems like this getting love. Even though I don't have much love for it, there's always people out there that like these systems, and it's just nice from a preservation standpoint. So I came across this, it was on my Google feed, or I don't know, maybe it was on my YouTube home feed. So a student may have built the world's smallest arcade machine, and it's a small functional arcade screen. It looks really, really interesting. I'll leave a link to this video. It might be somewhere else, I don't know, but this is where I found it, CBC News, and you can play Pong on the world's smallest, tiniest arcade. I'm not sure if it's a world record yet, but yeah, it may well be, but very, very interesting. So guys, this wraps it up for this week's video. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, the subscription and a like is always super duper appreciated. Anyway guys, be absolutely awesome to one another. I'll see you guys around. This is Pixel Cherry Ninja out.